Yo, ladies and gentlemen, today the most important ever super technical, definitely impressive. Okay, it breeds cats and dogs. Let's get to it. Okay, so behind me is a tamed cat or dog breeder. Now, you may be asking yourself, after you saw the thumbnail, after you clicked on this video, when you're in bed tonight, why the heck would you want a tamed cat and dog breeder? Just walk up to them, breed them, and then they just pets. Has Strom completely lost it? Well, first of all, I take offense to thinking that I ever had it to lose in the first place. But second of all, there could be reasons. So two things. One, the next mob vote is coming up, and there is a 1 in 3 chance that we will get dog armor, and then people are going to want to start, making different kinds of armor and having different dogs. And I don't know, maybe you've got like a PvP setup where you're going to build up armies of dogs versus each other that are tamed to be with you, and I don't know. Second would be for a cat gifting farm. Now, there's primarily one design out there. That's the one that they did on the side, Peaceful. There are probably some other designs out there, but I haven't really looked. I'm doing something that's not really long-term on the SMP that we're playing on with a couple of friends right now. But I was volunteering to breed the cats, and then I was like, well, no, I don't want to be the one to have to sleep in the bed. Then it's like, well, let's get a bot to do it. And then how do you get a bot to run around breeding the cats? And it's horrible, because for cat gifting, you have to be the person that bred the cats to sleep in the bed in order to get the cat gifts. And in order for dogs to attack another player, when they attack you, you have to be the owner of that dog and all that. So let's just automate that process. Before we get started, as always, world download will be down in the video description. I'll also include a schematic in there. It's going to be the same exact setup for cats or dogs. You just put either your tamed cats or your tamed wolves inside of here, and then you can breed with those. What we're going to do is we're going to step in this machine, and then every 5 minutes it's going to send us around to breed with these cats in the boats, or again, dogs in the boats. And we have this little gap here in between the fence and the slab that if we're looking at the correct angle, and I'll show you the setup for the angle later on, you can hit both of the cats. They can breed as long as one of the cats is standing up in the boat. This seems to be a strange visual bug with the world download, but these were put in the boat standing up. So I'm not exactly sure why they look like they're sitting down. But you can see I can breed them, and then a little kitten is going to pop out the bottom. Again, looks like he's sitting, but he was just born. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe a mod on my client, something like that. Now, the problem with just having them pop out, that's one thing, that's fine. Then we got to get them in a minecart right away, because in order to do a cat gifting farm, you need them to be standing up. In order to start attacking mobs or players that attack the player, they need to be standing up. So we need to get them into a minecart standing up. Why do we have to get them in right away? Because if we don't, a mob that's standing up when I'm moving around the farm is just going to end up teleporting to me. So where did he go? Yep, so there he is over there. And then collecting them is going to be a nightmare. So we get them into minecarts as soon as possible while they're standing, and then we're going to put them in this stasis here. So this stasis is going to hold a little over 120 cats or dogs. It's going to hold them in stasis, give them a chance to grow up. You can already see the ones down here are grown up inside those minecarts. Then it's going to be ready for them to dispense out one at a time. Normally this rail would go over to your cat gifting farm or whatever, and spit out one from each side whenever we hit the button, the note block. So we have them in the boat because having two minecarts occupying the same space without being separated by like a trapdoor or something, they're going to bounce off each other and they start acting wacky. You can have two in a boat and they're not going to be able to interact with each other. And the way that we're suspending this over quote-unquote air is actually on this trapdoor right here. Now, the kittens shouldn't be able to spawn in, but just in case there's a chance they get knocked over to that trapdoor, we have this trapdoor over here as well. So they would just get pushed out from there, and then they fall down in this area, where when the farm is running, I'll show you in a bit, we have minecarts going in a circle until all the kittens fall into the minecarts, and then once we know that the player is done, or the bot is done with the cycle, boom, send all the carts over to the stasis. They go into the stasis. We have a little system up top there. This hopper gets unlocked and starts sucking items out of this barrel and puts them into this hopper. This hopper gets locked while there are things going through this string here, so while there are minecarts. Because there's going to be a little extended, we're doing this really extended. Could have done just maybe like some sort of signal extension, but I I kind of got this idea and I just wanted to go with it of, you know, just seeing how many items actually pile up in here. So we then lock this hopper so it doesn't put them back into the system. And if this hopper fills up enough, then it's going to send a signal down and actually then turn off the farm. So we're not like wasting cod or anything like that. Then each time the player comes around, we just spit out 20 cod at the player, just using that with this observer clock here that is timed out with a pulse extender and a little bit of delay on it. That spits out 20 items. Again, if you're going to do dogs, you just replace this with like pork chop or rotten flesh or, you know, whatever you want to do there. Finally use for all your rotten flesh in your mob farm. And then we have this trapdoor right here that is going to close and actually hold the player there until it's ready to release. So as the player is going to be pressed up against here, you just got to, if you want to do your player, you step in yourself. If you want to do your bot, you step in and get your bot lined up. And again, we'll cover that in just a moment. We are using a despawn timer, so an item that's despawning on its own, because item is despawning at 5 minutes. Cats can rebreed at 5 minutes, same with dogs. So we're just using that item despawn. So you do need to fill up this dropper with something. I'm just using bamboo here. You could hook up a mini bamboo farm to it if you want, but even this is overkill. I mean, you're not going to run it this many times before that stasis fills up, because this is going to spit out 10 babies each cycle, so every 5 minutes. Once that stasis does fill up, it'll turn on this lamp that we can see, and then it'll also go over to this line, turn the farm back off. So you're not just wasting your rotten flesh or building up extra entities or wasting your cod or anything like that. So I'm going to get in how you use it. Again, I'm going to show it with a bot. If you want to do it with a player, that's also fine. Just going to step into this hole right here. Standing on this pressure plate is actually going to give us our first set of cod. You want to press all the way up against these birch planks. So you can see I'm just all the way up against there, not back. Otherwise you're going to hit that trap door. You're not going to be lined up for the cats exactly. You want to push all the way up. And then right here, this pixel, right in between these two pixels. So I'm going to stand back for a moment. You can see as we step through, all those mine carts are going to dispense for us. You're going to have your bot on the use continuous command or the player holding the right click. And we're going to see those cats are going to start dropping out, get picked up by the mine carts. Now, there are curved rails in here, so technically not perfect. There's probably like a 1 in 1,000 chance that one of these mine carts may end up getting stuck. However, I ran this a few times to fill up the stasis, and I didn't get any that were stuck. If they do stop, they turn around, they hit that block, and then they get their momentum back, and we're good there. So now we can see he's bred all of them. They all have their cats inside of the mine carts. Excuse me, the kittens. Then he's going to get pushed back over this pressure plate, or the player will, and it's going to release all those mine carts into our stasis. We're splitting up the path that the mine carts are going to take, just to make sure that if some of them do come in faster, they have some time. Because what we're then doing is we're shooting them up a bubble column and launching them into the honey, and they're actually sliding down the honey, and that's how we're going to prevent them from dying when they get down to the bottom, instead of having to do like a trapdoor tower like I've done before. So they'll just come down, land nice and gentle on top of these other mine carts, and they're ready to go. We can see that item despawn timer back here now has an item on it, and so the bot is now waiting at this trapdoor right here that will open when it's time for it to go through another round. Now, I did put a regen on here. Now, I did put a regen beacon on here. I don't think that's really necessary. The thing is, this isn't going to take that long to actually fill up your stasis. However, I have seen instances where like a player can get inside of here and actually start like taking starve, and then they'll start eating the cod that they're holding because they're getting pushed by water. It doesn't seem to be consistent though. So if you're doing hardcore, toss on a beacon there. And most hardcore players aren't going to just AFK anyways, but yeah, just toss your beacon on there. I mean, if you didn't want to completely AFK this, you don't really have to worry about the bottom section, you know, just kind of run in there, do your thing, and then leave and come back later and run through another cycle manually, breeding these cats or dogs and get your stuff. So a couple of other build notes. Again, make sure that you have enough items in your item despawn timer. So don't put 4 items in there, because then you're only going to be able to run it 4 times, unless that's what you want. But we do have this stasis that'll set to shut it off when it's time. Make sure you get your breeding source in here. So either your cod or your rotten flesh. This is probably definitely too much storage there, but just throw a handful in there from either your guardian farm or your general mob farm. Also, make sure you're resupplying it with minecarts, because we do hold the minecarts in stasis to make sure that the cats aren't going to be teleporting anywhere. So we just have these chests back here with minecarts in them to send over these using hopper minecart. Also note, if you want to store more, you can make this stasis as big as you want. You can make it down from -64 all the way up to build height. All this is just a bubble column and then a honey column. The only thing you need to change for your height then is extending this sticky piston line that's going to send down the signal there. And then make sure you fill up your barrels with items. Make sure you've got enough items to actually get over the threshold. And then just 2 like wooden shovels are nice in there, unstackables. We just need to get up to signal strength 2 out of this one. Turn this to subtract mode, and that way we can check to see how full this actually is. You can see even with 43 in there, so we don't have, even if we have enough time, that this is unlocked for 43 to fall through. Still not ready to lock the system yet. If you do fill this up, you're not going to be able to turn it back on or off. You can see that these lines actually come together. So this line that says stasis is full overrides the on-off. So spamming that. This is also not completely spam protected. If you come in and you just start smacking the crap out of this, you're going to get some extra minecarts in these. Then final note, how to actually get those cats in place. So they need to be in that boat. You want them to be lined up nice and neat. Probably a little bit neater than in the world download here. But it's real simple. All you need to do is just put down your boat, drive it over into this wall here. All right, now your boat is at that nice perpendicular angle to this. Get yourself a tamed cat. Make sure it's, again, standing up. And then let's try that again. Get yourself a tamed cat. Then stand it up, push it into the boat. Tame cat. Stand it up, push it into the boat. This is the old system that I was messing with down on the bottom. Do not use this. This is not reliable at all. It's only like 80% reliable. And when you're breeding 120, that's terrible. But all we need to worry about is really up top. So you're going to have this trapdoor open. And what you're going to do is use this piston to push it in place next to the fence. And then you can open your trapdoor. And now you're going to see that's going to fall down and rest right on top of this trapdoor right here. It'll be nice and clean sitting inside of there. You can see as long as you have those fences in there, you're not going to be able to push it past it. It's not going to be able to fall down. One final build note I wanted to make sure I get to. So we are using actually these torches down here to either power or depower these rails to determine which way they aim. Now that is directional. So if you do rotate this, you may find that the rails, while they're in their powered state, are actually facing the wrong direction. All you need to do in order to remedy that, if you actually want to change that, is right here, this dust, just change this over to a torch, and that'll then invert the direction that they go. So that's going to be it for this one. Again, you may be asking yourself, why did I do this? It was a project I needed to do for myself. And I figured, you know what? Especially if that dog armor wins, maybe people are going to want a bunch of cats and dogs. So why the heck not go ahead and release it? And there were some interesting challenges to get over here. It was one of those things that you start out, you're like, why isn't there an AFK cat breeder? It's easy. You just hit them with fish. So you push past them with water. Then it turns into, well, how do you get them down into stasis? How do you get them into a minecart? Oh, yeah, they TP if you don't get them a minecart right away. Ugh. I'm not going to play favorites. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this. As always, just remember, if you are not okay right now, remember it is okay not to be okay. All right. If something is getting you down, if something is just keeping that smile off your face, just keep your chin up. In the meantime, it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to pressure yourself into faking it. Just keep your chin up. Things will get better. I promise you. And I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.